Well, hello everybody. Welcome to your seasonal episode of the season-long collaboration of Brandolorian Galactic podcast. We are here for the Skeleton Crew Christmas edition, baby. Before we jump in, though, make sure that you're following the Galactic podcast and Brandolorian, across all of our channels at YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch for myself. We're all across Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere else. You can get your fix anywhere, people. Jump on, follow. Brandon, my boy, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. What a beautiful, beautiful intro. Man, we need to just let you take off for the rest of the rest of the season. That was such a beautiful intro. But like he said, if you guys haven't followed already and subscribe, make sure you do that just right here down below. Because if you're watching and you see this part, you got a nice little button right there that either says subscribe or subscribe. So make sure you go do that. But yeah, man, I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm not too bad, but yeah, I don't know where this energy's come from right now. Like we were just talking. I've been out all day. I was at a football match. I was in the hospitality, so I've had plenty to eat, plenty to drink. I was almost like ready for bed a while ago. But you know what? Getting on with you, getting to chat Star Wars with you, the energy level's back, bro. So let's fucking do this. But first of all, it's been Christmas Day yesterday. Normally we do our episodes on a Wednesday, but we thought we'd have a little day's break and spend some time with our fam. How was your Christmas?
Man, it was really good spending good quality time with my family and the in-laws. So just, good back-to-back days of Christmas, really good. Got some good presents. Felt like I delivered some good presents. So it was just overall a really, really good Christmas, man. But how was yours?
Yeah, very, very chill. Just the wife and the little one. Best friend popped over for a couple of hours. But yeah, very, very relaxed. I cooked a lovely lunch, of course, being the chef in the family. So lovely roast dinner for us, and just some snacks in the evening. So yeah, I got a couple of nerdy bits as well that I wasn't expecting, and some that I was. So that was all good. Ended up with a nice, if anyone's seen on my Instagram, a nice big blanket with the Galactical podcast logo on it, which I wasn't expecting. A very soft blanket as well. I'll definitely be snuggled up in that during the cold weather. But and I got a couple of Marvel statues as well, which is all good. Any really good nerdy stuff that you got?
I actually got I got the Kylo Ren. Actually, I got it right here. I haven't had time to put everything out yet, but I was able to get this going.
Oh, I did see this as well. I was kind of jealous because I've been wanting this, to be fair.
Oh yeah, and I was just like, oh, this was kind of like a side gift too. So once I opened this, I was like, oh, this is amazing. But this was
good as well.
Really good, and I got some. It feels like I'm starting to get into vinyls as well. I feel like that was kind of a huge thing during COVID. Was everyone kind of getting back into vinyls? But I'm a huge Tyler the Creator fan, so I was able to get 2 of his 8 albums. So that's going to be a really fun task, is getting all of these vinyls going. I do have Mandalorian season 2 soundtrack, so that's really good.
Nice, it's a good soundtrack as well.
Yes, very good. But yeah, some I'd say probably the Kylo Ren Funko, and then also I got the C-3PO Lego. So that is going to be really good, sitting up next to my R2-D2. So ready and very excited for that.
Nice, absolutely lovely. Let's jump into what we're here for today then. So Skeleton Crew episode 5. It's more than halfway through the show now. We're on the back end of the show. We've been talking for a little while about how we wanted this to really sort of pick up on the back end and start kicking off. So, initial thoughts then on this week's episode.
Like I said earlier, I think this is probably the second best episode besides the first episode. I think the first and second episode went really hand in hand together. Started the story, started ramping up a little bit, but 3, 4 were kind of the soft dive before we're going to go up the hill. So I think this one executed in all those fashions. I think the pacing was really good. And also just the choreography itself looked excellent. And the story is finally going in the direction that I was ranting about last week. Really, really wanted it to start taking off, and I feel like we're getting that. And of course, once we start talking about things throughout the episode, I feel like at the very end was one of the most beautiful things that we have definitely seen for a show that we're not really expecting to see this object. So very, I like the episode. I'd probably give it a good good 7.5, 8 out of 10.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I've been wanting to see a little bit more with the parents on the planet and what they're doing and what's going on with the supervisor, because it feels like a kind of glossed over thing that they're kind of keeping back from us a little bit. But obviously, we've got a little bit more of their story in this one as well. The fact that they were trying to use this transmitter to maybe get a message past the barrier, and then Farah sort of stops Wendell from doing that, and she's like, "Look, you have to trust what I'm doing. I'm trying to do it the official route, so we don't get like done and like taken away from it all." So things are
Yeah.
picking up both ends, to be fair. This was a very Goonies and like Indiana Jones-esque episode, wasn't it? The sort of looking for the secret layer, deciphering all the stuff along the way, and then when they get to the layer itself as well, everything's still booby trapped, and their way through it and stuff, and finding the stuff that they need. So yeah, I thought all in all, we get to see a brand new planet as well, and Lanupa, which was some sort of like pirate haven before, and now it's a luxury spa that they turned it into. So, what were your thoughts on the spa? Because this is something quite amusing to me in a way, in the fact that like SM33 was like, oh, we use these pits to like dissolve the enemies of the pirates in acid, and now they're using it as like bathing mud pits instead.
Yeah, I did love that shout right there, because it's like, well, what was this once before? I would love to see, pirates getting melted alive. That'd be pretty cool, especially in the Star Wars universe. But I think it kind of gave me Canto Bite vibes, and that's probably my least favorite part of The Last Jedi. Is just that entire 30-minute sequence of them on, Canto Bite, and it was just like, we're spending too much time here just for the DJ character, whatever. I was getting the luxury vibes, kind of like you were saying. That's a good way to put it, because it kind of reminded me of that in a way, but at the same time, like I was saying, that the hut that we saw bathing, that was really cool. And maybe, who knows, Darth Plagueis isn't dead and he could have been bathing in the mud himself. Maybe the dark side pointed him in different directions to where we've seen characters put before, so why not?
I think we've got one of your boys. Malekith is up in the house. What is up,
Hey,
guys?
what's up, man?
He's got some opinions on Skeleton Crew straight away. He says that he doesn't like Skeleton Crew and that the spa doesn't feel like Star Wars. I mean, there's going to be spas. We've seen casinos, we've seen luxury places that people can stay, so there's going to be spas in Star Wars. I sort of get what you say, though. We're used to Star Wars being sort of like crappy planets and space,
Right.
for the most part, apart from maybe Coruscant. So I can understand what you might say you don't like it, but there's going to be spas around somewhere. I'm sure Palpatine had a nice little spa trip every now and again, sort out those wrinkles and stuff, and keep himself in good shape. So yeah, the spa was interesting. We got to see some really good species in there. We saw plenty of Muns, as you say, Darth Plagueis's species, the Banking Clan species, because they talked about the Banking Clan being there for some sort of summit or something. Obviously, we saw that that hut having a nice bath and doing whatever he was doing in there. I think he was eating that poor little creature that said "not again" or something.
Yeah, that was a big creature. I think that's probably the biggest creature we've seen a hut eat in Star Wars. So very interesting.
And obviously, the big rumor going on that, or the I think almost confirmed that this is one of the twins from the Book of Boba Fett. Apparently, there is a chin tattoo that sort of gives it away that it is the same one. So, nice little crossover bit there. But to get to seeing, kind of weird in a way, isn't it? Seeing like one of the huts just bathing in mud. It's kind of it's just seeing like a pig roll around in its heyday, isn't it? So, that was quite amusing. But what did you think to the whole like the Indiana Jones type style bit? So they're deciphering where, because SM33, we should start back at the beginning, really, shouldn't we? So SM33 is being restrained, but they restore his memory and he's able to remember everything about the situation, about what was going on with Assassin, what was going on with the hidden layer and the coordinates to Assassin and everything that was going on there. And they even reveal later on in the episode what the deal is with the treasure at Assassin as well, which we'll get to, I'm sure. But yeah, what was your thought on the whole? This is like a Goonies, Indiana Jones type episode of searching for the treasure, deciphering everything, getting past the booby traps, and getting to the treasure.
Yeah, so this was probably the first episode where I felt that this was very the Goonies, Stranger Things
Mm.
aspect in the Skeleton Crew, just because I feel like the first 4 episodes, we didn't. They're still explaining the story a little bit, and but yeah, this one really takes off, and yeah, I love the beam, laser traps that they have to go up against is really cool. And also the trap door. Like I feel like that is such Goonies, all the trap doors and scenes where, they get taken underneath, and especially, once they find the ship. So all of that stuff kind of calls back, and it's really cool to see how they're able to use the inspiration from those movies
Mm.
and actually put it into Star Wars, which I mean, just like Mailkiss said, like I think that's that's a valid point. I mean, of course, like I know some of the things he doesn't like is valid, whatever. But some of these episodes like this definitely make me feel like this is Star Wars. Um,
Mm.
and I do like the way that they're implementing, these other movies, especially that kind of connect to Star Wars that have larger fandoms. But yeah, bringing that in, I think this was the episode that really nailed that on the head for sure.
And obviously we're getting like drip fed bits about Jod throughout this episode as well. So we have more names for Jod pop up here. So we had Dash Zentin and Jodwick Zank. So what's that? 6 names he's got now, I think, if my total is correct. I mean, Dash Zentin is maybe a reference to Dash Rendar. Sort of like from Legends, maybe just a little hint to there. To be fair, because he was a popular smuggler from Legends, so I think that was maybe just a little bit there. But he's obviously a man that's made himself. It almost like reminds me of the fact that this is what Han Solo did, and the fact that he's gone round the galaxy, and well known by everybody. But the fact that Jod was clever enough to tell everyone a different name, whereas Han Solo just told everyone that he was Han Solo. So he's the infamous Han Solo, whereas everyone knows Jod by a different name, and therefore there's no real history on him anywhere. So quite clever, I guess, in a way. Just make sure that everyone thinks you're someone completely different every time.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good touch too to Jude Law's character, because it's at this point it's really hard to like him, and then it's hard not to hate him. So he has that character dynamic to where it's like he's gonna have people that love him, he's gonna have people that hate him. It's not kind of more of a mix. So I love seeing. I mean, are we gonna get more names for him? This would only be the best. So yeah, I like it. I would say too that the lady, the really pale skin, with the middle braid that confronted him. Yeah, she was super interesting looking. I was actually kind of like, ooh, this is kind of like a horror-esque character, pretty scary. But yeah, she was very interesting looking, I will say.
Yeah, I mean, we talked briefly about the fact that was this because I read somewhere that there was an Umbaran that had been spotted and I don't know whether they were talking about Pocket, because she kind of looks facially wise a bit similar to some of the Umbarans we see in all the rare glimpses we've got of them in that Clone Wars arc, or whether it was just maybe somewhere in the background they saw like the type of helmet that they wore and stuff like that. But yeah, she did definitely have an interesting look. We've got What Other Force? Happy holidays, gentlemen, and wishing you all a great 2025. And to you, buddy, thank you for stopping by. Definitely appreciate you popping by today. But yeah, in terms of then, it gets named that the legendary Captain Renaud is who the ship belongs to and who SM-33 used to work for. So when finally we get the name of the ship sort of revealed, we obviously knew it, but when it's named in the show, isn't it? So Yod's kind of like, oh, this must be the Onyx Cinder, and the legendary pirate Captain Renaud, and the fact that he was. He disappeared without a trace, and obviously it turns out that he got to Atatin and he'd like killed everyone because they were trying to revolt against him to claim the treasure for themselves because they got greedy. And it's kind of revealed as well that basically the treasure of Atatin is the fact that it is the last Old Republic mint. And what this means is that it's somewhere that prints money or produces money or physically makes the credits, which would explain why they've got absolute mint ones, or the Wind had absolute mint credits because they actually make them there and stuff like that. And so this is the treasure that it's revealed that everyone was trying to get to Atatin for, or what the legendary treasure is. So what are your thoughts on sort of that now being revealed to us, that this is what everyone's going to Atatin for?
Not what I expected. I thought,
true.
I thought a lot of other things, especially, but Mint being the reveal, very interesting. So that is probably, I think I'm like 2 for 192 on all um theories for Star Wars. So just to add
Yeah.
that another loss to the list, but yeah, I mean, I thought that was really cool. And I mean, there's one of the biggest mints in the United States is only 6 hours away. So it's really cool, to see that this in the Star Wars universe, this is the one that prints the Old Republic credits. Very interesting, and one who isn't too familiar about the Old Republic and even leaning into the High Republic. I think that's pretty interesting. Maybe I can get some live action insights with these older
Mm.
times. So I think that's really cool. I liked it. What do you think?
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. Again, like yourself, my theories were not anywhere close to it being an Old Republic mint or anything like that. So definitely interesting. You can see why then people would be interested in it, because the kid said you could essentially have infinite money that you can print for yourself, if you're able to get charge of it. So maybe this leads a bit more into what the supervisor's doing in charge of them, and the fact that they kept them sectioned off from the rest of the galaxy and from the Republic all this time, because they've taken over and they're just doing it all for themselves. And that's why they're using the security droids as well, to be super strict, and report anything out of place at all. So yeah, definitely not what I expected, but it's nice to see a twist. I think
Yeah.
to maybe it being predictable, and the fact that there was just buried treasure there, or I mean, my theory originally, I think, was that there were all the other planets got destroyed and all their treasures were moved to Atatin, so that was the last one standing. That's why it's left standing. But it makes sense if like someone came in, took over the planet as the supervisor, and then realizes they've got the mint and then keeps it all for themselves. So
Yeah.
we are going to have to see where that one goes. But seemed like there was a bit of a tie-in possibly to, because we're not given a time frame on when Captain Renaud had sort of died or what his mission was, but we did get a look at his sigil in this episode, and it sort of resembles the Nihil Marauders from the High Republic era. A lot of the books and comics, there was his sigil does look kind of similar to this, which kind of like has 3 lightning bolts and carries a fairly good similarity to Renaud. So I like the fact that they tie into that. And whether he's got anything to do with the Nihil Marauders or not, or whether it's just a nice tie into the High Republic, we'll maybe get a bit more answer to that in the future as well. But I think what's going to be really interesting about this is where they go from here, because of how this episode ends. It kind of like leaves them in a split place with where they're going with this. So let's just recap what happens at the end. Obviously, they find like the layer, sorry, with all the treasure and stuff in. We get to see a lightsaber
Yeah.
for the first time in this series as well. And we were chatting about how pristine this lightsaber looks. It looks almost like Old Republic style. But then at the same time, we were saying it kind of looks like a customizable one that you could make in like Jedi Fallen Order, for example, or something like that. Can I just say as well, Wim is literally what I would be, and I imagine 90% of people would be actually with whether they had a lightsaber in their hands. No one's going to be turning into Anakin Skywalker immediately the minute they've got a real lightsaber in their hand. They're going to be more like Wim, aren't we? I know I would be. How about yourself?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think the best part is how it just flies out of his hands. Like that's the best thing imaginable. So making it realistic, I can always appreciate that.
But obviously, the bit I'm talking about though is the fact that basically Jod challenges Fern based on the pirates code for the right to be captain. Because the minute he realizes what's going on with that Atin and the treasure that can actually be found there, and they're like trying to remind him, hey, we had a deal. You get us home, you get a reward. And he's just like, well, sod this, because I can have more now. So he challenges them based on the pirate code. I think this is maybe a Disney tie-in as well to things like Pirates of the Caribbean, when you can challenge the captain. There's probably a deep lore of that in Pirates anyway, isn't that? Oh, pirate stuff. SM33 has to follow the code. And that's obviously when we see Wim sort of go up against him with a lightsaber, and he just obviously said it bounces out of his hand after he lights it up. And obviously Fern, yields pretty much straight away.
Yeah.
I thought she was maybe going to be smart and challenge him, because I don't believe Yod would have killed her
No.
or really harmed her. He just knew that the threat of it would get him to give up. What are your thoughts on this bit of the episode?
What I was expecting was Wim to actually ignite the lightsaber properly, and we were going to get kind of like a Finn connection, like when he was going up against Kylo Ren. I thought, because the way they had him, hold the lightsaber just like Finn did, I was hoping that would be kind of like the call. But all is good. I thought it was really funny and goofy, which it should be. And I was waiting for Fern to actually kind of step up and actually try to fight him. But of course, when she reaches for the staff and she wasn't able to, land the blow on him, kind of made sense. But yeah, I was expecting, Jod to come out on top. But I knew once the kids were able to get out of the situation, I did remember that there was X-Wings outside on the planet. So maybe they will kind of get to the kids, and maybe this is where Kim can kind of come back in, or maybe she was able to follow them somehow, some way, leading the X-Wing pilots that were on that moon base to actually go and find them. That was something I noticed when they were flying through the sky. So maybe that's what it leads to. But I think that whole ending scene right there with the kids was very funny, very goofy, but very necessary.
I must have missed that bit. I didn't see the X-Wings, to be fair. I just thought that obviously, because they sent a bunch of the pirates after them, because they get turned in by Pocket and stuff, and obviously they used the acid to wipe them out, which is quite amusing.
Yeah, that was so fast. Jaleel White, rest in peace. Urkel didn't make it in space, but
yeah.
But yeah.
So, because we were waiting, weren't we, to see where the pirates would come into it, because we're like, they are going to come back into it at some point, and obviously they just sent a small group of them, and they got killed pretty quickly. So, but yeah, so obviously we end this episode with, Jod winning the captaincy. He is now SM33's captain, and he's captain of the Onyx Cinder. But then there was that moment, obviously quick thinking by Wim to hit the that seat that drops them into an unknown chamber, wherever they're going to be. So good thinking, or if you spotted those X-Wings, that maybe that's going to be a way that that they're sort of rescued in the next episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, the way that it ends with the fact that it's just Yod force pulls the lightsaber to him and walks off, because we still don't know much about Yod's background, whether this whole thing is he a survivor of Order 66 and where he comes from, and was he someone that maybe was a Padawan or an apprentice and just lost his way and did what he had to do to survive and doesn't believe in that anymore? And it's been 30 years since he's seen a lightsaber, or whether he's, like you said, maybe he was a Buchan Jedi and he was, or just has Force powers and never really was a Jedi. And so maybe this is the first time he's ever seen a lightsaber himself.
Kind of to mention too with Wim, when he was off crying on the cinder, Yod was talking to him about, he's kind of giving him, I couldn't remember word for word, but he's giving him some kind of Jedi like
he did, didn't he?
knowledge and confirmation, just to kind of calm him down. So really cool with that. But
he was talking about attachments, wasn't he? So he was saying that your past, whatever, your family, you've got to let them all go. You can't have attachments because they'll weigh you down or something, wouldn't it? So yeah, very reminiscent of an Anakin talk that he's been given before.
Yeah, and we all know how that ends every time.
Yeah, but yeah, so interesting. Where do we go from here?
Maybe if, the kids go off with the X-Wings, maybe this is kind of where, if, I don't know, I just feel like maybe Jod ends up making it to At-Atten before or even somehow with the kids. But right now, I don't see how the kids would even trust him remotely. I think they're going to both end up meeting on At-Atten, and maybe the X-Wings, this is kind of where it ties into the Mandoverse with Ahsoka. So maybe, we get some Carson Teva, kind of like you mentioned last week or 2 weeks ago, with him coming in, maybe reaching out with Mon Mothma, maybe the New Republic understands or maybe knows about At-Atten. I don't know what side of the galaxy At-Atten's on, or even remotely where these new planets are. So yeah, we'll definitely have to see what how that all ties in, but it's kind of hard to tell. I want to see Jod with the lightsaber, of course.
Mm.
Maybe, when he ignites it, goes to the credits, cuts off. Maybe we can kind of pick right back up from there and we see Jod ignite the lightsaber. I feel like that would just be really good for all Star Wars and Star Wars fans
Mm.
alike. So hopefully we just pick up right where we left off. And yeah, hopefully the X-Wings come through, get the kids, and maybe help them get to At-Aten. And maybe if Kim was the one that sent them, she knows where At-Aten is, and maybe they will just get there a little later than Jod and SM-33, just because SM-33 now has a new captain and knows where
Mm.
At-Aten is now. What do you think?
Oh, sorry, just quickly. Jeremy Dahl from the illustrious Why So Sidious podcast jumping in. Gentlemen, hope you had a Merry Christmas. Stoked to catch a live.
Thank you.
JD, thank you for jumping on, buddy. Really appreciate it. We are big fans of the Why So Sidious podcast. So if anyone's not familiar, go and give them a follow as well. They are absolutely worth it. But thanks, JD, for stopping by. I really do appreciate that. I hope you've had a good Christmas as well, buddy. But yeah, where do we go from here? I mean, I wasn't really thinking that the kids were in any position to be able to get back to At-Aten right now. You mentioned obviously Kim coming in, maybe she knows or has an idea, and they do a bit of searching for an episode or so to get them back there. That's the only way I see them getting back now, because yeah, like I said, SM-33 knows where At-Aten is, he's got the coordinates, he's going off with Jod. They're going to be there in the next episode. They're absolutely going to get there. I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if the kids don't make it back there until the final episode. I think maybe if Yod and SM-33 go there in search of the treasure, there's a whole big showdown between them, the parents, and the supervisor, and that and then the pirates are actually tracking the kids. And when the kids get back to At-Aten in the last episode, the pirates show up to make it a four-way confrontation, and it's just basically a go between the parents, the supervisor, Yod, and SM-33, and the pirates to come down to what's going on. Or my other thinking was that the only way the kids make it back is if Yod does make it there with SM-33, like I said in the next episode, and there's something goes down between him, the parents, and the supervisor, and the barrier gets brought down, and the parents manage to get messages out to the New Republic, and they come back with the kids, and step in that way to bring it all together. That's the only way I see them getting back there. I don't know how else they're going to get back there otherwise, because no one knows where this planet is. So
yeah,
definitely going to be interesting.
That kind of sparks an idea too, because if they get the barrier down, maybe they send the signal out, but it ends up getting to Brutus, the other pirates, on accident. That's not who they wanted to get the message to. So now all of these, pirates, the kids, they all end up getting back to At-Aten, and I think a four-way showdown would be pretty intriguing, because I mean, getting the parents involved, we finally maybe get to see who the supervisor is. That would be very interesting. But yeah, I mean, of course, it's a pirate show. I want to see more of the pirates, and
Yeah,
maybe especially after this last episode, I hope Jod kind of gets his ass kicked. I think that would be pretty cool. But seeing him maybe go after the pirates with a lightsaber could be very interesting. Very interesting.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to throw in for this episode, or have we pretty much covered it all?
I think that's a good wrap for this episode.
Malekith did have one final question that he did put in a bit early, and I thought because we'd sort of passed the Hutts at that stage that I would come back to it now. But obviously, we've heard that Rotter the Hutt is going to be appearing in the Mandalorian and Grogu film. Obviously, we saw him in the Clone Wars animated film and stuff like that. But he wants to know thoughts on Rotter returning. What are your thoughts, Brandon?
Yeah, I like it. I think it's going to be cool. I absolutely love Jabba the Hutt, so why not throw a son in? I thought that would have been really, really, and of course, Jeremy Allen White, love the actor. I think he does great I've seen him in The Bear, and of course, Shameless, and I enjoyed Shameless. I enjoyed The Bear, so I think he's gonna. The voice acting will be pretty interesting.
Yeah, this is my stickler point for this, is the fact that we've never heard a Hutt speaking Galactic Basic or English, as obviously we know it, or anything like that. They've always spoken Huttese. So why do we need a famous voice actor to voice it? I suppose Zero the Hutt we've had speaking normally. So I guess there is a precedent for it. I was thinking there's no precedent for a Hutt speaking basic or English or whatever you want to call it. But I guess Zero did. So there is precedent for it. And maybe because of the fact that he was rescued by Jedi, he's gone out and learned Galactic Basic. And so he
Yeah,
does speak
okay.
it in this. I think that's literally just popped into my head now. To be fair, I forgot about Zero.
Yeah, I would have never thought. And that's the Quinlan Voss episode. I absolutely love that
Mm.
one. But yeah, I think that would be great. Also, too, I think it would have been really cool if we went to the Mandalorian and Grogu, and here's this hut, and we're like, "Oh shit! Like, what's going on?" And then it's Rata the Hut. So that would have been cool if it was kept under wraps. But
Yeah,
anymore,
I know what you
it's
mean.
it's hard to keep things like that.
I know what
But
you mean. It would have been nice to keep that one a secret, although I think the problem is half people don't know who Road to the Hut is either.
yeah,
So if you announce it early, get it in there, people can do a bit of research or watch the episodes. That I mean, not that he does anything much; he's just strapped to the back or whining or crying, so I should say, the entire time. So,
yep,
yeah, thank you for that one, Malekith. I guess that's it for this week. We're back on New Year's Day to obviously react and review the next episode 6 of Skeleton Crew. It's going to be a special episode as well because it is somebody's birthday on that
yes,
day. I'm not going to say whose. Let's just say one of our birthdays is tomorrow and the next one is New Year's Day. So actually, you've got both of us in the space of a week. So to be fair, we will have a double birthday celebration next episode, even though it'll be one person, not mentioning anyone, wrong way, not mentioning anyone's whose it is on New Year's Day. Yeah, I'm just like, I can't tell which way when I look at the camera. But yes, it's definitely somebody's birthday on New Year's Day, and it's somebody else's birthday tomorrow. So we'll have a little birthday celebration whilst we're live on air next week as well. But literally, as we mentioned at the start of the show, get on your YouTube, you get on your Instagram, your other social medias, everywhere else. Get on your Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow Clan Brandolorian. Follow the Galactic Hall podcast. Brandon, say goodbye to everyone until next week.
yes. Until next week, guys. We will see you. Merry Christmas, and make the Force be with you all. And next week we will be back.